Hey guys, I'm sitting here with Jordan Santoni, and today we have the opportunity to speak a little bit about habitual negativity in our lives, and the impact of that, how we can get just jammed up in regular negative thinking. We have what we call a negativity bias in our human minds, that 80% of the thoughts you think in general are negative, and 90% of the thoughts we think today we thought yesterday. So there's this continual recycling of negativity within our systems. And we thought it'd be helpful to share some ways that Jordan and I interrupt those patterns, those habits of continual negative thinking, because I know for myself, it wears on me. If I don't catch myself, if I don't interrupt that, I just kind of get dulled down, and then I'm reaching for things to interrupt it that actually just add more negativity. So, I think a big one for me is getting myself away from my screen, off my phone, outside. I generally practice in the morning, where I get myself on the grass patch out here outside our house, barefoot. I either do some movement, usually first, and I sit down and I really shift out of thinking. So I'm not starting my day with thinking of the phone right away. I'm actually orienting towards my natural body and the earth, and then listening and letting that be the conversation of what's happening. And I find it's really hard to continue with my negative bullshit if I'm surrounded and feeling the beauty of nature, the physicality of my own body. If I can begin to interrupt it and ground there first, then I have a chance during the day to not just be feeding the hamster wheel of negativity.
Yeah, and feeding it, it's really feeding the pain body. And I think what you named, for me, I see how often I'm in a problem-oriented mode, and I'm looking for what needs fixing out there or in my life. And that spin cycle, it really does, it's tough to start the day with that. I find what really works for me is, as a dad now with 2 kids, I don't have a lot of free time, quote unquote. And so finding ways where, like, I start my day wrestling with my 7-year-old. That's how we start. We do cuddles and wrestling. We're not in our head, we're in our body. And if I have a meeting with someone, can I take it on a hike? Can I take my kid with me? How am I finding ways where I'm in nature, I'm in my body, I'm out of, and I'm still able to meet my responsibilities? So it's finding that both and.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I mean, I love the example of you and your daughter doing that. It really, my dad used to do that. Coming home from work, he'd put a sleeping bag out in the backyard and wrestle with my brother and I. First thing he'd do when he got home from work. But that kind of relational, embodied movement, being in nature, it really engages what's called our bottom-up processor. Most of the day, if we're at work or we're in thinking mode or solving mode, we're in a top-down processing mode.
Very cerebral.
Yeah.
Really top heavy.
Yeah, and it can be super helpful. We need the mind that way. But if we're not careful, then we're living our whole lives through that top-down processing, and we're stuck in a cycle of conceptuality instead of actually getting to be present and alive in our bodies.
Yeah. So those are some little ideas, and I would encourage you to consider what are the practices that can disrupt and interrupt your habitual head-centered work, and get into your body, even just a little bit, little drips into your day. Doesn't have to be big splashes. And if you want to come do a big splash with guys like us, we would love to have you come join us on a 5-day, 4-night wilderness backpacking retreat. We've got a couple coming up this summer here in the Eastern Sierras, July 21st. Got another one in Colorado on the books here in August. Would love to get to be with you in nature. And what would you say is the...
Well, I mean, and so then you're not just interrupting. We're doing a full immersion in nature with our animal bodies. Then there's just so much, for me, there's so much joy, so much insight that comes about my life. What's really important? How am I on target? How am I not? It's just the opportunity for a bigger clearing and a vision for your whole life, to be able to do a 360 or a 180 if that's what you're needing right now in your life.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Thanks.